one thing what I was studying in college was the entire organic versus GMO conversation. And it came through a marketing ploy, whereas certain scientists perfected a certain breed of vegetable and they wanted to patent the breed, right? And then now the other farmers could not compete. So then it became a matter of, all right, well, I want you to pay me more for my product because I labored harder and my product is now organic, right? My product has not been through the science to make it better, but I've been trying to use age-old traditions. And so now a part of the marketing ploy was put there to say that, GMO is bad because it's not organic, right? And so we have to somehow understand the part of the economics behind the marketing and a part of the truth behind it as well for us to be able to get to where the middle is. The middle is usually the balance between the two conversations because some products can be genetically modified to be against us, but that is not the definition of genetically modified organisms.
In Belize, government has the ultimate control through regulations and through legislation on GMO. And I think that's an important role. I think that if any farming sector would like to introduce GMO, it has to go through the process of consultation and all the other necessary things to be discussed, like indigenous, in Belize, corn is a big issue among the Mayan Indians in regards to their variety and indigeneity of their corn. However, if you are going to grow certain crops that, like soybean, you have to start using science and other, not just emotions, in determining exactly how you're going to approach it. You have to approach it through government because government has the final say. But if you're going to grow if you're going to grow soy in a country like Belize, in certain areas, there can be put an argument that there should be a GMO component to it. But most of our other crops, most of our other agricultural entities that we are into, I don't exactly know where GMO will fit. I am big out of the citrus industry. Greening has come in, among other things. And I think that although we're now coming up with some tolerant, some people boast of resistant varieties, I think that the solution to citrus at that point in time will either be going back to the old pattern of where you select a plant that survives the disease and then use that genetic material and move forward, or the new scientific ways of putting up a gene from spinach onto it and have some sort of control. But I also need to, from an animal perspective, I also need to let people understand. I'm a veterinarian, and I need to explain to people that there's a lot of GMOing that has been happening with all the chickens and all the pigs and stuff that we're doing, especially animals or crops that can be rotated in a very quick way. And even though we don't call it that, there is that is happening at this point in time. So my ultimate position on GMO is not a no, but not a yes, but a very controlled way of doing that. And I think that government has to have, because government's job and the politician's job is to protect the people, and that debate has to be had. But if we are going to meet our goals, we 25, we are going to have those debates and those discussions. If not, we'll be negligent.
Personally, I tend to be on the fence somewhat when it comes to GMOs. I can't speak generally for Barbados from a policy perspective, but I can tell you that there are the conversation in Barbados and the sentiments towards GMO use is much divided. you see, and again, it's the narrative. Originally, when I first heard the concept, my belief was that you're taking something that is wholesome and natural and changing it. And therefore, once you alter that which is natural, then you are getting a product that is less wholesome than what you started with. And I think that that belief had generated fear among lots of persons. And I would just end on that by saying, perhaps again, this is why agriculture and what is happening today in agriculture is so exciting, because climate change, for example, is one of our biggest challenges. You look at only here in ECA yesterday at the conference, we were discussing the 5 C's that are the most topical 5 C's now, and the biggest C is climate change, and maybe it is within the context of climate change, as Mr. Canton said, or suggested, that persons would begin to recognize that, hey, we really do need to make some adjustments. We are now facing more intensive droughts. We're encountering different types of pests. Some are more, becoming more resistant than before, and therefore there is a need for the science to now be imparted, so that we can get greater yields, and so that we can get better quality animals through crossbreeding, etc. And when you put it like that, within the context of climate change, within the agriculture sector, maybe the whole notion of GMO or genetic modification would become more palatable. But yes, I must admit, when we hear the word genetic modification, we get scared, but not recognizing that within the context of contemporary agriculture, there is some need for aspects of GM if we are really going to achieve food security. Are we going to be fooling ourselves?
When it comes to GMO, I know their persons have been concerned, they have been scared. And I think, they can be right, because, the question is always asked, what are the long-term effects of a genetically modified organism? But I think when it comes to GMO, though, I don't want us to miss what actually happens when we talk about GMO, right? It's not so much the traditional crossbreeding techniques. It is more what you do with the bacteria and viruses when you go in the lab and those type of things, right? But I'm not fully against it. We just need, through research and the science, like the case from Barbados said, we really need to look at what are the effects. We use the science to kind of guide us, right? So, because there are some things that we definitely will have to use GMO for, but we just need to make sure that the effects of using GMO are not negative ones, but positive ones. But definitely, it has some scare when people hear the word GMO. But I believe if we can educate the public, I believe that is important as well. But it's still more than just the traditional breeding and cross-breeding techniques, but how we engineer these microorganisms to get what we want done.